The Susan Brender Show is a radio show online broadcasted on YouTube across the United States and globally. The show features guests who speak about health, spirituality, entertainment, and a host of subjects to enlighten people across the nation. Listen to the show that empowers women and men alike and highlights those who have made a difference.
I'm Susan Brender, and this is the Susan Brender Show. Today, my guest is Rachel Cann. She's written over 50 stories published in literary magazines since 1991, when Emerson College in Boston awarded her a master's degree in creative writing. I want to welcome to my show, Rachel Cann. You have such a story that I think our audience is going to be thrilled. So I want to hear a little bit about your story. So tell us a little bit about your books and all the things that have been published. And not only that, the raw deal. I mean, you had a raw deal and it went to on and on. So
I have a lot of raw deals.
well,
I'm going through one now with my card that doesn't work.
Well, Rachel, no, seriously, let's talk about your books.
Okay, I want to start with my upbringing, which was by a grandmother who was a Jehovah's Witness. So no matter what I go through, I always feel I don't need to pray. God knows what I need. He's going to help me.
Mm-hmm. You're a religious person, huh?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But I was raised that way, with no presents, no holidays, no friends. It was very lonely and not a happy way to grow up as a kid. So I guess I was pretty depressed through my whole growing up phase. And now that I'm almost 80, I'm happy to have published so many things and look forward to getting things done better.
When did you start to write?
After I had a job being a taxi driver, and I ended up going to, I was in Florida, I'm sorry, and I met a man who wrote Steve McQueen's last movie, The Hunter, and he taught me to write movies. That was the first thing I ever wrote.
How fortunate is that, to meet somebody like that?
That's right. And it's just incredible. My life is incredible. Let me just say that. So my son's wife was having a baby, and I decided to move back to Boston to be a grandmother. And that's what I did. And that's when I went to Emerson, because that man who taught me to write movies was a teacher there, and he convinced me to go back to school, where I didn't learn a darn thing.
Now, Emerson College is a college of people who do all kinds of music and all kinds
everything. Yeah,
everything.
They have a big name. You have a big name. But the man that was teaching short stories was Greek, and he was a poet. He wasn't a short story writer, and I was really aggravated. I never told him I was Greek, and he gave A's to the young girls in the class, and I didn't get an A.
Oh, well, doesn't matter that you didn't get an A because you are so successful. Am I right about that?
But it depends on how you value publishing. I've been spending a lot of time trying to place short stories, and I really need to concentrate on my larger projects, the movie script that talks about bad people. And I was raped, and that's a part of the problem. And by someone who's an attorney.
Rachel, you were raped?
Yes, I was.
Wow.
And he was a district attorney, but now he's just a lawyer. But he also lost his license for lying in a very big case. But anyway, that's only one reason for writing the film.
Wait a minute. What's the reason that you decided to do it?
I like to write about people and situations that are not ethical, and it includes doctors and lawyers that have done me wrong. So it might be a personal vendetta on my part. Excuse me, how much crap are you supposed to take from people?
Right. You're absolutely right. Now, continue with the story that happened to you over the course of time.
Well, my son was born with a very serious cleft palate, and it just about made me have a nervous breakdown. So I was all alone with him, and the man who helped me the most happens to be a mafioso person.
Mafioso.
Yeah, that's the name of my book. That my memoir is called "Connected: Love in the Time of the Mafia." And even though I had all these bad things happening, this man gave me moral support to get through all the operations of my baby, who needed 10. And the first doctor wouldn't let me go see him in the hospital at 6 weeks. That's when an infant needs their mother more than any time, but not this doctor. I mean, this is what upsets me, that when they get a profession and they don't do the right thing. It was very, very hard for my baby and me to deal with him having surgery at 10 weeks and no mother to love him.
You know, the friend that you met was Phil Wagenheim, who was known as the most feared man in Boston during the 80s and the only Jew in the Cosa Nostra. How did you get involved with him?
Well, I've always wanted to be a writer. I needed to tell you that I started reading when I was 2 years old, which is like very unusual. And I kind of grew up around people like that. And the man who ran something called Office Farm, where all the gangsters used to come and play cards, I knew there was a story there, and I was studying them. And to make a long story short, he had me I was going to Florida to visit a girlfriend from high school. This is after graduation. And the man that I was supposed to see went out with my girlfriend, and I was with this other stranger, a Jewish man. And we went to this restaurant with gold faucets, and I'm drinking, and I'm not a drinker, right? And I was loaded. And we get in the elevator, and I propositioned him. I really did this.
Propositioned him?
What
did you say to him?
I'm a school teacher. I don't drink, but he was filling me full of Manhattans, which my mother would drink occasionally. And I said to him, if you want me, you better, right here in the elevator. So this son of a gun called my bluff and pushed the thing on the elevator, and a siren went off.
Oh,
Needless to say, there was no in the elevator any time that night. But he was from Boston, I found out, and it continued for 20 years after that.
So you had a relationship with him that was really outstanding, right?
Well, yeah. He was very, very terrific guy.
Right.
Banned from every racetrack in the country, but everybody loved him. He's on Ancestry.com, and I don't have dogs. I'm trying to get one now. I'm ready. I got the cage, I got the little green pea thing, and I got the little bed thing, and all I need is the money to do it with. And now that the car went boom, boom, there goes my dog.
Oh boy. Now, with all the writing and with all the books and the movies, you didn't make a good living?
I only got one check for $25 recently. And I spend a lot of money on these programs that you submit and try to win a prize. And it's been, I haven't added it up, but it's exorbitant. It's not easy to get the people that you need.
So why didn't this man that you were in love with, why didn't he help you with that?
Well, I wasn't writing, and he's been dead for 30 years.
I didn't know that. It seems that all the newspapers, spare change is not really the thing for you, right?
Well, no, I was homeless. There I was, as you say, 7 dogs. I only had 3, and nobody would rent to anybody with dogs. So I went out every day for a year to find a place to live. And finally, I found a landlord in Woburn that let me have an apartment. So I was living in my Cadillac, I want you to know, with my 3 dogs. And my son took the puppy dog's name of Boston. And so I only had 2 after that.
when you went to Florida, Florida was good to you, wasn't it?
Florida, my mother had a motel, and I was managing that for a while until she sold it. And then I started selling time sharing. Not very well. I got a real estate license, but I was very nervous about, meeting people. I've basically been very shy. And so I didn't really make a lot of money in real estate, but I did sell some time sharing. And then moved here after my son's wife was having a baby.
But it's
I raised a son back there in Florida. So yeah, I liked it a lot.
right. That's a good point, that you like their law. Tell me how you think when it comes to, is this about a political situation that you're talking about?
Which political situation?
The political situation that's going on right now. What I'm talking about is, are you political?
I am a conservative. I voted for Trump. A lot of my friends did vote for Trump, but not my son and daughter-in-law. We don't talk about these things because they have to get into a big argument.
Right. So what's the end of the story? You wrote so many books.
I have a couple of books and then the memoir. So there's 3. You're right.
Right.
That is a lot.
Which one do you really think that the audience would love?
Well, living here in Boston is very popular about the mafia, so I call it connected. If you're connected, you are a step above people that are not connected in this state. Now, it might have changed because the FBI did their number, and you know what I mean. Things have changed.
What way have they changed for you, Rachel?
I am alone in a building with 85% of Chinese people that don't speak English, living in a government subsidized building. Grateful to have it. And this is where my boyfriend used to live. So it's, home.
You're right. So what's in store for you now, next? Are you going to write some more, or are you going to write?
I do think I should try to make my connected memoir into a script. But I first ran into somebody who said, I didn't run into them, but I read it online, that if you have people in the hospital all the time, it's boring and nobody wants to read that. And he was elderly and didn't take very good care of himself. So yeah, there were a lot of hospitalizations in my story even, but that's life. I'm lucky that I survived my cancer, but it was not easy. And one of the reasons why I write is to open the floodgates to other people who have been abused by the medical or the legal profession people, because it's not right. It's very, very bad.
You're right. There's no question about it. Well, today my guest has been Rachel Cann, who has an amazing story. And if you really want to get the book, how did they get the book?
My book, The Memoir Connected, hasn't been published yet, but I did get some copies from the Harvard University bookstore that doesn't do it anymore. But the latest thing is some stories that I have written that indicate people that tried to kill me. And I think that's kind of interesting. Once again, to help other people learn not to take strangers under their wings, because it could be deadly.
Well, that is a fascinating story. And
I think so.
Yeah, no question about it. And if people want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Darned if I know. This book is called Close Calls, and hopefully your friend and my friend will get it on Amazon, and then they can make a purchase. It's called Close Calls, and every one of the stories is about a different person who almost killed me or wanted to kill me.
Wow. Well, Rachel, it's been a pleasure to have you on the Susan Brender Show. What a story you've got.
Thank you so much.
Yes, you're quite welcome. When you say that you were almost killed.
Yeah,
people, is that going to be in your book? Because I think
That's in the new book. That's in the one called Close Calls.
Close Calls. Okay, so Close Calls. And what other book should I talk about?
The one that I need a publisher for or an agent is called Connected, Love in the Time of the Mafia.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Rachel, for being on the Susan Brender Show. You have quite a story, and I think our audience is going to really love it. So thank you.
Thank you.